Someone wrote a ransom note. They used a pen they found in the house. They used a notepad they found in the house. They wrote for long enough to fill 2.5 pages. Then they didn't take the child for ransom. The note has 369 words. It references a small foreign faction. It knows the exact amount of John Ramsey's Christmas bonus, $118,000 to the dollar. It quotes 2 different movies. It was written by someone who started it, stopped, crossed something out, and started again. Forensic linguists, handwriting experts, FBI profilers, and independent analysts have studied every single word of that note for nearly 30 years. They cannot agree on who wrote it. They cannot agree on what it means. They cannot agree on whether it was written before or after JonBenét Ramsey was killed. This is what the note left behind. On the morning of December 26, 1996, Patsy Ramsey came downstairs and found a note on the bottom step of the spiral staircase. She called 911. Later that same day, JonBenét Ramsey, 6 years old, was found in the basement of the family home. She had been strangled. She had sustained a severe skull fracture. The cause of death was asphyxia by strangulation associated with craniocerebral trauma. The note was still on the stairs. What investigators found when they examined it would define and confound the next 3 decades of the most scrutinized murder investigation in American history. Start with the paper. The notepad it was written on belonged to Patsy Ramsey. It was found in the kitchen. 3 pages were used for the note. A practice opening, Mr. and Mrs. I, was found on an earlier page of the same pad. The pen belonged to the Ramseys. It was also found in the kitchen. Whoever wrote this note walked into that house, found paper and a pen, sat down and wrote for long enough to fill 2.5 pages. Then they didn't leave. The note opens like this. Mr. Ramsey, listen carefully. We are a group of individuals that represent a small foreign faction. Small foreign faction. In 30 years, no credible link to any foreign individual or organization has ever been established in this case. The note continues. We respect your business, but not the country that it serves. John Ramsey ran a technology company called Access Graphics. It had done business internationally. The FBI investigated every foreign connection. Nothing. Then comes the number. You will withdraw $118,000 from your account. $118,000 was the exact amount of John Ramsey's Christmas bonus that year. It was not a round number. It was not a guess. It was precise. That number is one of the details that has never been explained by the intruder theory. A stranger would not know it. Someone close to the family would. The note then instructs the Ramseys not to call police, not to talk to anyone, to wait for a phone call between 8 and 10 the next morning. That call never came, because the kidnapping never happened. Now, the language itself. Forensic linguists noted something specific about the structure of the note. It is long, far too long for a ransom note. Most ransom notes are a few sentences. This one is 369 words. The writer appears to correct themselves mid-sentence. The handwriting changes pressure, heavy in some sections, lighter in others. The opening lines are messier than the closing ones, as if the writer grew more comfortable as they continued. And then there are the references. "Don't underestimate us, John. Use that good Southern common sense of yours." John Ramsey is from Nebraska, not the South. "If we catch you talking to a stray dog, she dies." Stray dog, that phrase appears in the 1996 Mel Gibson film Ransom. So does the general structure of the demand. "You are not the only fat cat around." That phrase appears in the 1971 Dirty Harry film. Someone who wrote this note had seen those films, borrowed their language, used them as a template. A kidnapper improvising under pressure does not quote movies. Within days of the murder, investigators collected handwriting samples from everyone who had been in or near the Ramsey home. They analyzed 74 samples in total. John Ramsey was eliminated. His handwriting bore no meaningful similarity to the note. Among the 74 samples analyzed, Patsy's handwriting was described by one investigator as the only one that set off alarm bells. Handwriting analysts identified over 200 similarities between the note and Patsy's known writing samples, specific letter formations, pen pressure patterns, the way she wrote certain capital letters. But handwriting analysis is not a hard science, and the analysts were not unanimous. Other experts reviewed the same materials and concluded they could not confirm Patsy as the author. No court has ever accepted handwriting analysis in this case as conclusive. Then there is the linguistic evidence. A forensic linguist hired by the prosecution analyzed the note's vocabulary, sentence structure, and idiomatic patterns. Her conclusion: the writer was likely a woman, an educated woman, someone familiar with the Ramsey household. The defense hired their own linguist. His conclusion: the note showed signs of deliberate stylistic disguise, someone intentionally writing in a way that didn't reflect their normal patterns. Which means either the note reveals its author, or it was designed specifically not to. And then, in 2008, the DNA changed everything. In 2008, advanced DNA testing identified genetic material on JonBenét's clothing. DNA did not match John Ramsey. It did not match any member of the family. It did not match anyone in any database. On the basis of that DNA evidence, the Boulder District Attorney formally exonerated the entire Ramsey family. Patsy Ramsey had died of cancer in 2006. She never saw that announcement. The DNA belongs to someone. That person has never been identified. And here is where the case stands in 2026. In December 2025, Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern confirmed that his department had performed multiple new interviews, sent previously untested evidence from the basement to the Colorado Bureau of Investigation for contemporary DNA analysis, and was using new forensic technology to retest materials that had been examined before. Techniques and technology constantly evolve. This is especially true with technology related to DNA testing. In January 2026, investigators enlisted a new detective and began using AI-based tools to review thousands of documents spread across 17 states and 2 foreign countries. 2 new witnesses, former neighborhood children who were young in 1996, came forward to say they saw an unfamiliar adult man behind the Ramsey home on the afternoon of Christmas Day. He carried a small bag. He appeared to be watching the back of the house. Nearly 30 years later, the case has more active investigation behind it than at any point since 1997. And the note is still unresolved.
There are 2 ways to read the JonBenét Ramsey Ransom note. The first: it was written by someone inside that house. Someone who knew the bonus amount. Someone who used the family's pen and paper. someone who wrote carefully enough to fill 2.5 pages without being heard. The second, it was written by an intruder, someone who came prepared to stage a kidnapping, who had studied the family, who knew details about John Ramsey's finances, who had time to write, and then changed the plan. The DNA supports the second reading. The note itself resists it. What is certain, what 30 years of analysis has not been able to change, is this. Someone sat in that house on Christmas night and wrote 369 words designed to send investigators in a specific direction. And for nearly 3 decades, we have followed them. The question, the one that DNA testing in 2026 may finally be close to answering, is whether those words were written by the person who was afraid of being caught, or by the person who had already won.
The DNA results from the current round of testing have not been publicly released as of this episode. When they are, we will cover it. If you want to go deeper on the note itself, the full text, the handwriting comparisons, and the linguistic analysis are all linked in the description. If you're new here, subscribe. New case every week. Leave one thing in the comments. Intruder or not? I read every one. Until next time, stay curious.